Hi everybody, and thank you. Oh my goodness, we have got so many people registered for this event. I'm not even sure that everyone's going to be able to get on because Zoom limits the capacity for these webinars. So I am going to record this webinar and I'm going to post it up on my Facebook feed. So if you can't get on for any reason, or you get dropped off and can't get back in, then it will be there so you can watch it. Thank you to everyone that's sent in their questions. This webinar I'm doing is completely free, and I am answering your questions on anything to do with breaking up during lockdown. Now, as I said, it's going to be recorded. I'm doing this, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not medically trained, but I can help you with your mental health. And I know in the UK we're going into second lockdown, or we're in it for like 3 days, aren't we? 3 days, I think it is now in. So I know the amount of stress and anxiety around is really high right now. And then if you're going through a breakup on top of all that stress and anxiety of lockdown and restrictions, maybe you're worried about work, your jobs, maybe you're worried about everything that's going on, money, not being able to go out and have a drink in a pub or go out for dinner, not being able to see your loved ones, worrying whether other people are getting ill, the fear mongering or the stress that's going on with the media. And then, obviously we've got the American election. It's a tough time right now, okay, for anyone. But then you throw in breakups, you throw in these things, and that's a challenge. So I am going to be going through your questions. I'm going to, if you sent in, some of you sent them in already, so thanks for that. I will be answering as many of them as I possibly can. Also, those of you who are joining live, do drop your questions in the chat box. You can ask me questions as well. So this is interactive, so do jump in and ask. I know there's a couple of people here who want to talk. So Helen, I'm gonna see how this works. Okay, do you want to come on, Helen? I'm gonna pop you on if you want to do. If you want to come on with me, you can just click the button to join if you want to, and then if and when I can, I've got time, I will let you on. But if you don't want to, then that's okay. Or if you clicked by mistake, that's okay too. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of this then. Trying to work out how to do. Okay. Right, just not sure what's going on with this one. Okay. Okay. Right, we've got a few people here that might want to join. I'm not sure if they do or not. I'm just trying to. Okay, right. I don't think they do, so I'm just going to take them out. Right. Okay, so we're going to get stuck in. I've got so many questions. Mark, if you do still want to join on, then stay there. If not, you put your hand up. So I will come to you. I've just got lots of questions. I know you sent your question in as well, Mark. So I am going to cover that. Okay, right. So I'm going to start with a question now. I'm going to keep them anonymous because I know that this is going to be recorded and put up on the website. So just listen out if this is yours. Also, a lot of these overlap. A lot of these have a lot of things that you're going to say, okay, well, that's useful to me because I'm going through something similar. Okay. So, a lot of this advice on breakups, divorce, heartbreak, not being able to let go, coming out of toxic relationships, it's confusion. First of all, it's normal. Okay, please be reassured that it is totally normal. What you're going through is normal, and you have to go through these tough times to come out the other side. Okay, so whilst it's tough now, it's not always going to feel this way. Okay, you are going to get through it. It is going to get better. Things are going to change around. Now, I was on BBC Radio Channel Islands yesterday doing an interview, and the journalist asked me, if it's true that it takes half the length of your relationship to get over a relationship. Now, that is a myth and it's absolute rubbish, okay? Because imagine if you've been in a relationship for 30 years, then it would be saying you need 15 years to get over it. No. One of the questions, and I'm going to struggle to find it now because there's so many here, but one of the questions was, okay, here we go. My husband ended our marriage 6 months ago very suddenly. When does the shock wear off, as I still find myself stopping in my tracks and not really believing it's happening? Now, okay, so this question, okay, that we go through 5 stages of grief. Like divorce is the second most traumatic life experience we go through after death of a loved one. Okay, that is just how it is. It's very, very similar to the loss cycle we go through when somebody dies. So what the important thing to remember here is there are stages you have to go through. Now, time is a great healer, not 15 years, but time is a great healer, and you will feel better as you move forward over time if you did nothing at all. But what I found when I was going through my own divorce, and that's the reason I do this, you know, I was where you guys are reading this, like on the floor, sobbing, not knowing what to do, thinking my future was over, comparing myself to my husband's new partner, and just, you know, my self-esteem, my self-confidence was on the floor. I was scared, I was lonely. I've been there, guys. That's why I do what I do, because these are the tools that I wish I'd had access to when I was going through my breakup. However, you know, the thing is, there are some simple things, some easy things you can do to power through, but it takes you to step up, okay? It takes you to do something, to take some action. Now, simple things, but you do have to do something. So if you're committed, if you're ready to make a difference, if you're ready now, you've had enough of feeling like this and you want to step up, then you're in the right place, because I'm going to give you lots and lots in this hour of simple, easy techniques that you can implement. Okay, so all these questions overlap. There's so many questions here. Okay, and thank you so much for giving up time on your Saturday to come and listen, because there's going to be some really useful stuff here for you. All of you, for all the questions, you'll get something from it. So the 5 stages of grief that you go through after a breakup, we all have to go through them. You can't skip a stage. I mean, some people do skip stages, but what it means is then you're still dragging that baggage with you. Okay, so the thing is, we need to knuckle down and power through these 5 stages. The beauty of me sharing what those stages are with you now is that you get more clarity. When you've got more clarity about what you've got to go through, what's ahead, then you know what's coming, you know where you've been. You can actually consciously see where you're getting stuck, okay? And where you're getting stuck is where we're going to dive in and give you some tools to power through. Okay, so this lady here, she says, when does the shock wear off? Well, she's obviously in the first stage. That's denial. Now, denial is when you put your head in the sand and you don't really think about what's going on. You don't want to even admit that it's going on. In fact, in lots of cases, including mine, you don't even want to tell anybody. So maybe you had a niggling suspicion that your partner wasn't interested, or that they were cheating on you, as many of you that have written into me have said. Maybe you had a niggling suspicion, maybe, you know, but you didn't bring it up. You didn't mention it to anyone. You know, I know somebody I had a client who found an Ann Summers receipt in her husband's jacket pocket. Classic cliche, but it happened to her. And she thought, okay, well, maybe it's because maybe it's my Christmas present. Now, she was definitely more of an M&S girl than an Ann Summers girl, okay? But in her head, she was like, no, maybe he's like, for the first time in his life, planning for Christmas presents 3 months in advance. And she waited, she didn't tell anyone. Christmas came and went, and well, you can guess, she didn't get the Ann Summers underwear. And she actually then thought, well, maybe it's my birthday. And she still didn't talk to him about it, and she didn't speak to any of her friends about it. Because what happens when you admit to it is that it suddenly starts to take on a real life of its own. And it's almost like we fear it's going to become reality if we address it. So that's the denial stage. Then the second stage is anger. Now, this can be rage. I see a lot of clients in my coaching clinic that are seriously angry. And that is a very paralyzing state, anger. You know, wherever you are on that scale can paralyze you. You know, you might be like, I'm not going to sign the divorce papers. I'm not going to do anything because I'm just so angry. Or some of you that don't naturally show anger, maybe this comes up for you as just real stress and frustration. Okay, if you're not the kind of person that normally gets angry, it will still show up in some form of extreme emotion, but it might be more like stress or frustration or annoyance or just feeling sick, you know, those sort of emotions. And then we move into what's known as bargaining. Now, bargaining is a stage where you kind of don't want things to change. So you might be trying to change yourself to keep the status quo with your partner, even if you know that you don't want to be in that relationship, even if it's horrible. The funny thing with us human beings is we'd rather stay with something that we know is going to be terrible because we've got the certainty than step outside it to something that we don't know. Now, even though that's got a much better chance of being better, we don't want to step outside. In fact, some of you have written to me saying, I feel really lonely now my ex is gone. And if you really think about it, honestly, some of you will find that actually you were lonelier in your marriage than you are outside of your marriage. Because being rejected day in, day out, or not having that connection, being in an unhealthy relationship that's fizzled out or maybe is just toxic, is constant rejection for you. Now, especially if you're still in love with your partner and don't want it to end, and you're trying to make it work, because I know a lot of you have tried. So, you know, that moving through that stage of trying to, you know, I'll make an effort. I'll dress smartly. I'll take them out more. I'll call them from work, and I'll make these little efforts because I'm trying to do anything I can to make this work, rather than say this isn't working. So that's the bargaining stage, where you will compromise and sacrifice your own happiness just to stay in this relationship, because the fear of the unknown, which is human nature, is too scary. Okay, and then, but if you knew what I knew, guys, you'd power through, promise you. There's lots of happy things and better things that come out. If you're thinking this isn't right, learn to trust your instinct. If your instinct is saying this isn't right, I'm not happy, or, you know, then it's not right. You know, I'm not saying you can't improve it. There's things you can do to maybe work on that. But if you don't think it's right and you're feeling unhappy, then you deserve better. So we need to find a way for you to power through that. The next stage is depression. Now, this is a really interesting one, because depression is a small part. So it's the bottom of the curve, the emotional roller coaster that we all go through. You have to go through it, okay? It is a stage. It's the bottom of the curve after all these other stages, coming through from, I just feel sad. And that might be staying in bed. It might be just having no energy, being very lethargic, just feeling just very internal. You probably become quite myopic in your views of the world and what your options are. But, you know, sometimes I have clients that say, well, I've been to my GP and they've diagnosed me, I am depressed. And it's almost like we can adopt that label as a forever thing, but it's not a forever thing. It is part of the cycle. You have to grieve the end of that relationship. You have to go to that place where you're crying, you're upset, you're sad. You have to. Why? Because otherwise you don't grieve it. You don't let it out. You don't let go of those negative emotions. Because after that depression stage, which is finite, it comes to an end. You come out the other side as you start to climb up the curve to the final and fifth stage, which is acceptance. Now, lots of you from the questions you sent in are stuck in acceptance. Now, what is acceptance? Acceptance is when you know the relationship is over. You don't really want to go back. You can't go back anyway, but you kind of accepted that that's it. You know, you've taken the rose tinted glasses off. You know that you are where you are. But, and this is the challenge for people that get stuck in this, is like, you know that it's done and you don't want to be slipping up and down this curve, because you will do. You'll go back to depression. You might go back to denial and then bounce back to anger. And this is an ongoing cycle, unfortunately, until you power through the end of this curve off acceptance into a future that you are excited to live. Now, how do you go from acceptance looking forward? And you might resonate with this. Do you see a black hole or do you see a blank canvas? One of the two. If you're stuck in acceptance, unable to move forward, it's because your future looks like a blank canvas, nothing on it, just like, I don't know what's going to happen next. So you can't move forward. You've got nothing to move forward to. It keeps you focused on what's going on now and the past, your sad story of your breakup, which I'm not diminishing when I say sad story. I'm not diminishing that it isn't sad at all, because it is, and it's painful. I know, I've read your stories. And I see clients every day, right, who have got very sad, traumatic, or horrendous stories in some cases. But what we need to do is shift our focus to move forward. Okay, we need to start shifting our focus onto this. So we need to throw some color on this blank canvas. We need to shine a light on the black hole, okay, so that it becomes more inviting. And you sort of start to tip the balance. You know, if you imagine those old-fashioned weighing scales, you start to tip the balance. Once you start doing that, I'm going to give you some techniques to doing that. That's when you start to get momentum, okay? But you've got to step up, you've got to take action, you've got to start moving forward. So someone else saying here, I need to start divorce proceedings so I know where I'll stand financially. And every time I get my marriage certificate to send it to the solicitor, I keep putting it back away again in the drawer. I know he's never coming back again, so I need to move on. How do I make this massive step, which is so final? Well, first thing, I'm afraid sending your marriage certificate isn't final. You can back out at any time. He might then frustrate the process. You know, you are a way off yet from getting that resolution. So please don't think that this is the one thing you do in your divorce. You're not. You're not. So that's an excuse almost to stop doing it. The best thing to do if you're worried about something like your finances is face them. And again, this is really not human nature. I know there's somebody else who said, that he's come out, he's not speaking to his wife because it's a toxic relationship, and he's worried about the finances, about the houses. He's living in one, his parents are living in another, and he's worried about that. So anything like that that is worrying you, get more clarity on it, because clarity gives you power, guys. Clarity gives you power. It's the reason why I put on this Zoom webinar for you, and I'm streaming it live on Instagram for those people that couldn't get on with me today. The reason I'm doing this is because these things are very simple tools, but they're going to really help you. But sometimes they feel a little bit counterintuitive because we're going against what human beings naturally do. Because normally, if there's something that's upsetting us, we'll avoid it, won't we? We'll go the other way. We'll go, oh, no, 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 I don't want to think about that. Finances, la, 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 no, no, and just carry on. Actually, the way to resolve that and dial down that anxiety. Now, I always talk about having a dial, because we have a remote control to this, okay, to our brain. You have the remote control to your brain. Yes, you, yes. But we're not born with a manual that says, right, this is how you use your brain. This is how you get the most out of it. So most of us are doing trial and error. We're using strategies that we saw from our parents that maybe worked, maybe didn't, but we think that's what it is because that's all we knew. So actually what we're doing is sort of going through life, not maximizing our potential, maybe not coping in the best way possible. And human nature is to run away from things. So what I would suggest here is to, if you're worried about your financial situation, to say you know where you stand, which is what this first lady said, who keeps hiding her marriage certificate away, I suggest you dive headfirst into finding out what your financial situation is going to look like. Because imagine, right, you find out what it's like. That might be worse than you could have imagined, but the benefit of that, having that knowledge, is that you can then put a plan together to fill that gap. You know how much it is. You know maybe where you need to cut back, maybe where you need to look to create an extra income stream. You know that you could, shuffle things around, which may mean that you can resolve it very, very quickly, or put a plan in place to get this resolved over a period of time, which imagine how that would feel. Anxiety dialed down massively, and you can move forward. Okay, so that's my advice on those things. Okay. Right, another lady. I'm on your webinar today, but a question I'd like you to answer today, please. My man left 3 months ago. Why can't I shut him off? Well, one reason is he texts and calls at least 3 times a week. He's a liar, a cheat, and emotional abuser. And I'm doing more for myself now. I know he's not a good man, but I know he has little contact with his family and he's very jealous. I know he's lonely, but that's not my fault, but it makes me feel guilty. So, okay. One of the reasons we get stuck in heartbreak and are unable to let go. So who here is unable to let go of their ex? They know it's done, but they just can't let it go. Now the reason, this isn't for you, okay? This is really powerful. The reason is, and it's again, human nature, so don't beat yourself up about it, it's totally normal. But as your coach, I want to make this go from unconscious behavior that you're running to conscious behavior, okay? Because once it's conscious, you can then do something about it, right? You can then change that and do something better with it, okay? So what is that point? Well, I'm going to tell you. So what we do is we romanticize about the relationship that we're out of. Okay, so what we do is we strap on these rose-tinted glasses and we see the world, we see the relationship through this sort of pink fluffy screen. So we remember all the good times, all the magic moments, all the wonderful times that we had together. Oh, my wedding day. Oh, yes. Well, you know what? My wedding day is still one of the best days of my life, up there with the birth of my son. Do I want to be married to my ex? No, thank you. Happily divorced here. But you don't have to trash those memories. But what we have to do is be realistic about what it was. So one of the techniques I'm going to give you, and please do this, is grab a pen and paper and start jotting down everything that was wrong about the relationship, everything that upset you, everything that made you uncomfortable or sad or angry. Maybe it caused arguments, things that you didn't want, things that you were worried about, any of those things. I want you to write a list of them, because this is a way to take control of your brain, okay? Because remember, we control what goes on here. What you put in is gonna really affect what you get out. So what I mean by that is if you put in negative information, or you're asking yourself negative questions, like, I call these hamster wheel questions, right? Because they take you round and round and round in circles. What's wrong with me? Why aren't I good enough? Why is he with him and why is she with him? Why is he with her? what's wrong with me? Why aren't I good enough? Why don't they love me? What if I'd done this differently? What if I said this? What if I'd been home on that day? All these questions just take you round and round in circles, right? But they're not moving you forward. They're not taking you any closer to feeling good. In fact, what it's actually doing, because our brains are wired so that if we ask a question, we have to have an answer. Okay, so let's play a game, okay? So we're going to test this theory out. If you ask your brain a question, it has to come up with an answer. Okay, so let's try a simple question. And I don't want you to think of the answer. Okay, this is really important. Don't think of the answer. Okay, everyone clear on the rules? We're not thinking of the answer. I'm going to ask you a question and you're not going to think of an answer. What is the capital of France? Okay, if you're honest, please be honest. You know that you all thought of Paris before you went, oh, not supposed to think of Paris, and then came up with something else. So your brain has to come up with an answer. If for example, I say, don't think of a blue front door, your brain conjures up that picture to then push it away. It's how it works. So it follows, right? If you ask yourself a negative hamster wheel question, your brain's going to come up with an answer. Now, it might not be the right answer, but I can promise you this. If you ask yourself a disempowering negative question, like, why am I not good enough? Then your brain will go, oh, okay, question, why are you not good enough? Okay. And it will come up with a list of reasons why you're not good enough. Well, you didn't do very well at school, or well, you put on a bit of weight, or that person once said you were boring, or whatever it is, your brain's going to come up with answers, which may be complete rubbish and most likely will be. But what it does is it puts you in the disempowering answer camp. So how do you move forward from that? You see how that keeps you stuck. So what we need to do is consciously take control of this and feed in more positive, empowering questions like, what can I do right now to make this better? Okay, what can I do right now to make me laugh? What's good about this? Now that's a good question. It's a tough one. And I know most of you going, Sarah, there's nothing good with my breakup. It's all a nightmare. I had a client once, some of you heard this story on my Instagram videos that I do every day. I had a client who came to me and she was devastated every weekend when her husband came to pick up her young baby and take the baby for the night. And she used to cry. She used to cry, go back to bed, lie on the sofa in her pajamas, go back to bed. And it used to devastate her. So when I asked her the question, okay, so what's good about this? Well, her answer, I can't probably repeat on this webinar, but it wasn't like, oh, sorry. It was like, don't be ridiculous. What do you mean? You're crazy. I know, but if there was one good thing about your situation right now, guys, there was one good thing, what could it be? So the question I asked her, and she said, oh, after a while, she said, well, at least I'm getting, I can sleep. When my baby wakes up every 3 hours, I find after a glass of wine, I just go to bed and I sleep, and when she's not there, so I'm more refreshed. Brilliant. We'll take that small nugget of something positive. What we're doing is shifting our focus. We're feeding in something more positive and we're getting a better answer. Okay, so what that did, she went away after the session and that little nugget had planted. And what happened was 2 weeks later, she came back to see me and she said, you never guess what I did? Every weekend, I decided I'm going to do something that is positive at that time. So just crying and moving from sofa to bed and bed to sofa. So she remembered that one of her passions was making jewelry before she met her ex. And so she'd gone and got her little toolkit. I didn't know you had toolkits for making jewelry. Apparently there's specialized toolkits with little screwdrivers and all sorts of tools, right? So she got this out of her loft and she got it out and she started tinkering around. And over the next few months, what she did was when her daughter wasn't there, she had a purpose. She decided that she was going to try and create an online jewelry business, which was always her dream, but obviously she hadn't had time. You don't have time when you've got a little baby there all the time. So she threw herself into that. And actually now she's got a really cool little business that creates a second income stream for her. And she only does it when her daughter isn't there or when her daughter's in bed. So from some negative things, just by asking yourself a more empowering question, you get more empowering answers, and these give you ways to move forward. Okay, so try and think of things that you can do to shift that along. Also, she said, I know he's lonely, but it's not my fault, but he tries to make me feel guilty. Look, one thing you have to learn here is that we are all responsible for our own lives. It works both ways. You're not responsible for them. We're all adults. At the end of the day, the only person responsible for you is you. And I know that's tough. And I know we take vows and we say we look after each other, till death do us part, or whatever people say now, more modern ceremonies. However, when push comes to shove, that's not the case. It is us responsible for us. So however much we love our friends and family, you are responsible for you and you alone, ultimately. And this goes both ways. So he is responsible for him and his emotions. However, that also means that you are responsible for your own emotions. And by giving our power away to our ex, blaming them, talking about them, thinking about them, telling our sad story over and over again, we give our power away, which keeps us stuck. So another tool for you is to stop telling your sad story. Okay, sounds harsh, but it's true. Because, you know, I know that when you go to the hairdresser, you tell her all about what's going on, right? Because that's human nature. We go, how are you? Oh gosh, you know, let me give you the next installment, and this happened and this happened, you know, or when we bump into certain friends, you know, obviously you're going to have your close members of your family or friendship groups that you are going to share that with, and you need a good friend or family member. However, not everybody needs to know the ins and outs. And the more you tell the story, this is why this is so important, okay? This is why. The more you tell your story, the more you reconnect to those negative emotions. The more you reconnect to those negative emotions and those and the pain, okay? And your body doesn't know the difference between you telling the story about something that's happened in the past and happening right now. So what actually happens is, as you tell the story, your brain goes, oh, I know what happens next. I get upset. I start crying. I feel sad. I can't cope. So you see what I mean? So you actually go back through all the trauma, which takes you back and it keeps you stuck. So what I'm saying is this is really, really important for you to actually learn to stop telling your story. In fact, just becoming consciously aware, right? Remember I said at the beginning about moving it from unconscious to conscious, just becoming consciously aware that you're telling your story, you'll catch yourself out and you will be surprised. I had a client once who said that she was, you know, telling her story. And I said, okay, well, how many times a day do you tell that story or think about that story? She said, oh, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 times. I said, okay. So her homework on her action plan, because everyone that comes to a coaching session from me or any of my trained coaches, I train people to become breakup and divorce coaches. And actually it's quite a therapeutic way of turning something bad that's happened to you into something positive, right? So I've got a lot of coaches that have been through very traumatic breakups. So yeah, turning that and flipping it into something positive will actually help you move forward. Okay, so right, I want to crack on. So I've got so many questions here. I'm getting off track. So my husband wants to increase the number of times hours he sees the children. Now we go into lockdown. Okay, yeah, that can be tough. This would take it to 3 overnight stays. Of course, my children's best interests come first, but I'm concerned that he might have a financial motive and it could have a massive impact on where me and the children live. He's currently supporting us, but has made no financial cutbacks himself, and it's been nearly 6 months since he moved out. I'm worried about the children. One of her daughters is young and has additional needs, and it might be a long time away from her mum. And she doesn't know how to address it without an argument or looking like she's trying to stop him seeing the kids. Okay, so this is always difficult for mums, I think, and dads, you know, because it works both ways, but not seeing the kids. So as a dad, not having access to your kids so much can be extremely painful. And for a mum, suddenly not having that is painful too. Now, if the other person has done this, which is one of the things that another person has said, that it was their decision to leave and now they want more access to the kids, she feels like she's missing out on that family time, and that's not fair because it wasn't her decision, then that can be very difficult, you know, whether you're a mum or a dad, it's very difficult. And even if it was your decision, it is difficult, okay? But one of the things is to try and have an amicable conversation. Now, that's not always possible, and I know that. So yeah, this is just, let's just break it down. If it is possible, okay, then have a conversation and just say, look, I'm going to find that hard because these are my concerns. You know, they're young, they're not used to being away from me. It's a long time to be without your mum at that age, and I'm worried. Now, maybe there's a compromise you can come to where they have some FaceTime with you during every time, you know, when they're there during that time. Or maybe you find that will upset them too much, and actually it's best just to let them go do their thing and then come back. For some kids that works. So you know your kids better, what would work best for them. You've got to put your kids first. Obviously, having a relationship with both parents is really important and healthy, as long as it's a healthy dynamic between the child and that parent. So it's about navigating this. The challenge you've got is if you resist it, then there are laws, and if he decides or she decides to take you to court, there are laws on what is normal these days. So you don't want to be sort of fighting something that actually, with hindsight, you'll think, well, gosh, if I'd agreed to that, I wouldn't have 50-50 now. So it swings and roundabouts. And you've got to think, is one extra night, is that going to make a financial difference to where we live? Just one extra night. Also, setting the rules. It's lockdown right now, so maybe they're not working, so it's easy to have that time. But just getting something in writing that is just for this period of time. It's not setting a precedent, because that's the other worry, that it could set a precedent for moving forward. So these are all things you need to work through. If it's not amicable, then I think it's a difficult position. These things are difficult because if they decide to get legal advice, then 50-50 is quite often the norm now. So you've got to look at worst case scenario, where you are now, what's best for your kids is the most important thing. So taking all that into consideration, hopefully that helps. The important thing to know is children are much more resilient than we give them credit for. Okay, they will adapt. And if you as their parents is like, this is fine, this is great, daddy wants more time, you've got toys at daddy's, toys at mine, Christmas at daddy's, Christmas at mine, there's lots of ways you can package this up to make it something that works for the kids. They will take their lead from you, especially when they're this young. So hopefully that helps. Okay, a lot of people are feeling stuck. Okay, I know. So Mark sent in a question. Mark's question. Okay. So while some relationships may have passed the point of no return, is it really key to identify what we're searching for and whether or not there's a realistic chance of finding that? So it's a good question, Mark, because quite often we will look at our relationship and say, grass is greener, okay? And the grass isn't always greener, and it depends what you're leaving your partner for. Are you leaving because you want to find love with somebody else, or because that can happen, and it does happen, and it most likely will happen. However, what we need to do coming out of a relationship is actually go on a bit of discovery and figure out and fill the gaps in us, rather than looking for someone new to meet to fill those gaps. So it's a good chance to get off that daily treadmill of a relationship that doesn't make you happy, and actually do some work on yourself. So deep dive and figure out who you are now, because if you've been in a relationship for 10 years, the dating scene or you as a person will have completely changed. So we need to figure out who you are, what makes you tick. When I came out of my marriage, I got married when I was in my 30s and divorced in my 30s. So when I came out, I was like, and I've been with him since I was 30 years old. So for my 30th birthday party, I was in. So I went, I know. I used to really like rollerblading. Well, it was something I could roller skate, but not rollerblade. Now, I then went and thought, right, I'm going to book myself some rollerblading lessons in Hyde Park, because I lived in London at the time. So I bought myself a pair of rollerblades and off I went. What I hadn't figured into the equation was that I was a very different person to when I used to like doing that when I was 18. And I'd had a son, I was a single parent, and I had a business. So I was having to, I had other fears. So for example, I was scared I was going to break my wrist if I fell over. So I had a whole load of new bits of baggage I was dragging around with me. So this poor rollerblading instructor, I would cling on to him and he would be like, get off, get off, like go. I was like, no, I'm going to fall over. It's a bit uneven here. Can we go somewhere else? Can we go somewhere else? And he'd be like, just go, go, go. Anyway, I wouldn't let go of him. And after about 3 sessions of me refusing to let go of this poor man, he just said, I don't think this is for you. So, and I was like, oh, devastated, because I had my heart set on that. But the reason I'm telling you this story and sharing it with you is because I had changed over that period of time. I wasn't the same person. So who are you now you're out the other side? This is really important. Who are you? What makes you tick? What drives you? If you're stuck, you're feeling upset, your partner's left, you're comparing yourself to the new partner, you're going through all that trauma, how do you move forward when you start focusing on you? Okay? You have to work out what makes you tick. You have to start doing things like writing your breakup bucket list. This is a list of everything you can do now that you could never have done during your relationship. Okay, so it could be small things like wearing a different style of clothes. I've got a client at the moment who suddenly discovered leather trousers. Her ex didn't like them. but now she's got them in 2 different colors. So somebody else, painting your nails pink, for example, or a different hairstyle, or going somewhere that your ex never wanted to go, having a certain takeaway when their preference was something else, traveling to a different place, mixing with friends that maybe your ex didn't really like, spending more time with family members your ex couldn't be bothered to spend time with, right? So what is it for you? Write your breakup bucket list. Start focusing on you, because that's how we start. Remember the blank canvas or the black hole? It's about throwing light and color onto this. Okay, and the way you do that is by setting your life up so you create a compelling future. You rediscover your own identity. Again, this is a self-discovery process. Who are you? What makes you tick? What do you like now? No, forget, well, some of the things you might have done when you were younger, they might still be applicable, and some things won't be, like rollerblading maybe. So just think about it, okay? So is it key to identify what we're searching for? Absolutely. And I'll tell you exactly why, okay? Because if you don't identify what you're looking for, how will you know when you find it? You wouldn't leave your house in the morning, would you, without knowing where you were going? Because, well, you'd just be walking around aimlessly. And even if you got to the place you wanted to go, you wouldn't even know you were there, okay? So that's why I do an exercise with my clients called Design Your Ideal Partner. And that's not necessarily to go out there straight away and find Mr. Right or Miss Right. It's just to set your expectations. What do you want from a partner? Not just that, what do you need from a partner? We're all pretty good at knowing what we want, although sometimes maybe we need to change that up a bit and try something new, but we're pretty good at what the chemistry angle is, tall, dark, handsome, short, blonde, blue eyes, whatever. That's quite easy, but what do you need? Okay, a lot of my clients, when they start dating, their idea of the ideal partner coming straight out of a relationship, there's 2 criteria, just 2. First one, they have a pulse. And the second one, they show them a tiny sign of affection. Then they do what I call go into limpet mode, where they sucker themselves, this poor new person, like, you'll never leave me, I'll never be alone again. Obviously, that is not the recipe for a successful relationship. So please be aware of that. That's why designing your ideal partner, taking some time, whether you're ready to date or not, gives you something to focus on, something to put up there on that canvas to say, when I'm ready, I'll be moving towards that. And on the way, I'll start looking for the signs, because I know what I want. So if I see it, I'll know it. Otherwise, you could walk straight past it. So that's why that's important. The current global situation has had a dramatic effect, Mark says, on every walk of life. And in fact, from our perceptions of an idyllic relationship, we find fault with our own and then therefore deconstruct it. So I suppose what Mark's saying here is, are we on self-sabotage here? Are we sabotaging relationships that are good just because of the stress that's around? Well, I guess that's an individual question for you to think about. I would say that if you're unhappy with your relationship, it is easier to settle and stay in a lot of cases than get out. And so this would be a very convenient excuse for us to tell ourselves and convince ourselves of, oh, I'm just self-sabotaging. So what I would suggest is you do your best to save that relationship if you're still in it. And what I've got an exercise that I share with people, which is to ask your partner, what are the areas of improvement that you can both agree to work on for the next 3 months? Come up with some ideas of how you can improve it and really give it your best go for 3 months. 3 months gives you enough time to see if it's sustainable, to see if you both stick to it, to see if it works. You might know within 3 or 4 weeks that it's not working. But by the end of 12 weeks, you'll have much better information so you can make a better informed decision, right? So, I mean, I think quite often we find reasons to stay stuck, and this sounds like a good one. And I'm not saying it's human. I mean, it is human nature to do that. And there is a lot of stress and anxiety around, and that is contagious. So it will spread, and that sort of glass half empty mentality, you could start applying it to everything, which is why we've got to really start focusing on what we're grateful for. And the lockdowns that are very good leveler, it makes us all realise, that we don't need some of the things maybe we relied on. We don't need some of those things. Some of those people were actually quite toxic in our lives, and actually without them, you might miss them, but actually life's a bit better without that. So yeah, it's a different thing. How would you advise someone that's recently split with the potential loneliness and isolation currently facing for the next month or so? Okay, yes, good question, because in the middle of lockdown, we're forced into isolation. If you're single, Even if you're a single parent, the kids are probably going in between both houses. You're going to have some time when you're on your own. Okay, now, again, like my story about, remember the lady who hated handing her baby over and would just spend her time crying, going from bed to sofa and vice versa? Don't do that, okay? So what we want to do is get some fun back into your life. So we've got to focus on things that you want to use this time for. You've got this time to make a positive difference, right, in your life. You've got this time. You've got a month. So for those of you that are home alone a lot, what can you do during this time to make your life a bit better? Maybe you want to exercise. Maybe you just want to get outside and get some fresh air, even if it's cold. Scarf, gloves, off you go. Dating apps. Now, you know, people go, oh, they're rubbish. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're amazing, but it is, at the moment, there's a lot of people on them. They're very active, and you'd be surprised who you meet. Again, we're not looking for Mr. Right or Mr. Right, Miss Right. Just look for Mr. Right now or Miss Right now. Everyone's doing things differently. Everyone's doing virtual dates. You know, you can go on a Zoom date with somebody and just have a chat. You don't even have to do that. You could just chat on message and then you go, oh no, not interested, whatever. But the idea of online dating is that you're getting out there and having some fun. You're building your confidence. And I promise you, I've had clients, like I run retreats. I've got one coming up in a week, actually, Heartbreak to Happiness virtual retreat. It's like live webinars with me and videos to support you in between. Okay, it's ridiculously cheap at the moment. It's only £297 before Christmas because it's like I'm doing it to fit it all in so you feel better by Christmas and New Year. I can start 2021 a bit better than we came into 2020, I guess, right? So, you know, going through those, that is really, really important. So if, you know, I had a lady that came on one of my retreats and she was like, I'm not dating, I hate men, I don't trust them. My husband had run off with somebody and was living just on the same road with this new woman. And understandably, she was really upset. I mean, you know, it was quite a tough breakup. And she had kids and it was a bit messy. So on the first day of the retreat, I said to her, it was a live retreat. It's when we could do live retreats. So it was a weekend. And she said she would never do it. Anyway, by the end of the first day, I had suggested to her that she might like to sign up just for 48 hours, try it out. If she didn't like it, she'd come off. So she agreed to give it a go. Because do you remember right at the beginning, I said, you've got to take action. You've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone. If you still don't like it, then okay, great, come back down again. But push yourself out just to test that water is really, really key, okay? So she went off, signed up. By the next time I just saw her, which is Sunday morning, she came and going, I've had 5 likes and I've been chatting to this guy. She actually ended up dating one of the guys for 3 months and it boosted her confidence. She had great fun, didn't last forever, but she learned that there were people out there that would find her attractive, that she would find attractive. I just got her back into that dating game again. So, you know, just push your boundaries out a little bit. Spend time with good friends, positive people, people that love you, make you feel good. Stay away from those energy vampires. Don't waste your time. And start thinking about, you know, detoxing your life a little bit. You know, it's a good time for almost a spring clean. So out with the old, in with the new. What do you want to stop doing? Who do you want to stop seeing or limit time with? And who do you want to see a lot more of? And what things do you want to start doing that are going to make you have some fun? Having fun is something that we all forget to do during breakups. And I want you all to schedule some fun, okay? Because that is really, really important. Okay, I'm just looking at some of these questions online. How do you stop feeling guilty for letting your kids down? How do you explain to your partner you don't love them anymore? How do you stop feeling guilty? Okay, there's lots of questions here. Okay, so how do you stop caring about someone? You know, someone else. Well, I mean, what, you don't need to stop caring about people. You know, if you're the person that's leaving someone, you can do it in a way that sets them up with some support, where you're not leaving them in a horrific situation. You know, you can do it. You can make the best of that situation for them. You know, getting divorced doesn't have to be hideous, although quite often it is. It doesn't have to be. If you can put in support teams for people, if you can make sure that they've got someone looking after them and looking out for them. How do you stop feeling guilty? Well, I mean, that's your choice. You know, if you can do the best you can do, then that's enough. You know, if you've left and it's better for you, and you know, maybe they are dependent on you for certain reasons, try and, you know, find other ways they can get that support, then, you know, that's important. It's always hard if you leave, but actually staying in a relationship with someone where you're not giving them the love and the companionship or the connection that they deserve, you know, that's not fair on them, because they're going to get, we talked about it earlier, that constant feeling of rejection. So those things are, you know, I think that's something that we have to, you know, you have to be aware of, that if you can't be responsible for them, and we have to stop taking responsibility for other people's emotions. As long as we've done our best, you know, if you're being unkind and cruel, well, then that's just not on. We've got to find a way to do things in a better way, right? Okay, so let's see what else we've got on here. I feel sad. We will lose everything we built together. Okay, so someone's written, I feel sad. We'll lose everything we built together over 32 years, the home, family, and memories. I'm worried about my partner's health, and it may get worse if I leave. Okay, so a couple of things here. Obviously, the end of a relationship is always going to be traumatic. Okay, it's always going to be hard. There is no magic wand to take away all the pain, unfortunately, but you will get through it. You will get through it, and you will come out the other side, and so will they. Now, the important thing, as I said before, is not to trash those memories. Keep those memories. Have like a mental box in your head, okay? Imagine like you've got like a storage room in your head, and those lovely memories, put them in a box and close them, okay? And keep them. We're not tarnishing. They happened, they were real. You know, you were there, your partner was there, the kids were there, everything. You can still keep those memories. Please don't trash them. Please don't say, oh, well, that didn't mean anything. Of course it did. But, you know, people come into our lives for a reason or a season or sometimes a lifetime. But, you know, sometimes people leave our lives and we think we're dependent on them. We think we need them in our lives, and we're going to miss them, obviously. But actually, this is a chance. This is a new phase in your life. You've got a choice here, okay? And I know it's tough, but you do have a choice. You can go down the path of, you know, we've been together for a long time. This has ruined my life now. That's it. My life can never be as happy as it was before, because that is an option. And you're an adult, right? We're all adults. We can make our own decisions. I just want you to be consciously aware of where you're at right now. You can go down that path of, yeah, you know what? This is just the end of my life now. There's no other option. My life's going to be miserable. Or you can say, you know what? That has come to an end. It's sad. I'm going to grieve the end of it and do what I can by, you know, getting that support and help. And by the way, I'm going to put in the chat box actually for you. There is a free survival guide. There we go, that you can download. And also my Heartbreak to Happiness manager, Marina, if you are looking for more support and help, she will tell you about, she's running free phone calls. So if you want a 10-minute call with her, she can tell you how we can best support you. I mean, there's two different links there. You see that in the chat box. So one is to download my survival guide. It's free. So you just pop in your email address and you'll get that survival guide sent to you with some advice on how to cope with those initial stages. And then the other one is a link to book a free call with Marina, who's my Heartbreak to Happiness manager. She's amazing. She knows how we support people. We have something to support everyone, whether it's free, whether it's £14, whether it's, you know, training to become a coach with me. There's so many different things. There's my retreats, there's my books. I've got 2 books, which actually, you know, both available on Amazon. They're both bestsellers. Uncoupling, which got a bit about my story in it, and how you can cope, practical tips. I'd suggest that one first. Or if you're just going through it and looking how you can do one day to the next, the split, it's from breakup to breakthrough in 30 days or less. It's like a 30-day plan that you follow to get you through. So all these things are available. They're not expensive. And if you want coaching with me or one of my breakup divorce coaches who's credited by me, then we have that too. So the links are in the chat box if you want to look for more information or information that's tailored to you. Okay, let me just go through some of all these questions. I think we've done how to stop feeling responsible. Yeah, how to be worried about partner's health. Again, you know, you can't live your life for somebody else. You can put in things though that will make it easier for them. Nick said, I thought if the care was split 50-50, that negated any maintenance. Look, I'm not a lawyer, I don't give legal advice, so check with your lawyers about that. It depends. Every situation is different, okay? It depends on you. There's unfortunately, it's a badly named the family justice system, in my opinion. You should probably rename it something else. You don't always get what's fair. So, you know, it's best if you can work it out between yourselves, however difficult that partner may be. How do you help someone who's been scammed by an internet romance? We were discussing marriage and I lost a lot of money from the scammer. Oh, I mean, look, first of all, we can't go around beating ourselves up for things we've done. You know, you've got to learn from your past. And sometimes the worst things that happen to us in life can actually transform into being the best lessons we've learned that take us forward and make us stronger. We can help more people. You know, those things are tough to learn, tough lessons to learn. I guess when you're vulnerable, you are more open to scammers and con people. I mean, I know that it's very, very tough when you've been tricked like that and you've lost money. But again, we're at these two paths, right? And I was talking about that. So the first one is feeling sorry for yourself, wallowing in self-pity. I know it's understandable, you've been through a tough time, but this is your choice, okay? Go down that path and drag your breakup forward with you as baggage forever. It will tarnish your work, it will tarnish your family life with your parents, your children, your parenting, it will tarnish your mental health, your physical health maybe. Or you take the other path, which is, this is tough, but I'm going to dust myself down and stand up and throw as much light and color, remember, at this canvas, at this future, and create a compelling future for me that I am excited to live and I'm going to power towards, okay? And if you can shift from that track to this track, your life goes off in such a different direction. Now, the way you do that is small steps, okay? Because it's overwhelming at the beginning, I know that. But small steps will move you forward. So just try and break it down to small things you can do every day. You know, make sure around your home you've got some things that make you smile. We're in isolation, right? You can't go out. We're spending a lot of time in our homes. So anything in your home that triggers you and makes you feel sad, box it up and hide it away so you can't see it, or chuck it out. You know, just get rid of the things that upset you. Start taking control of your life. Start feeding your brain with things that make you feel good. Listen to uplifting podcasts. Watch funny movies. You know, do like talk to friends that make you smile, not the energy vampires that drain you. You know, just do things to help other people. It's a very rewarding thing. Go shopping for the old lady on your street. You know, all these things will give you something back. Okay, you don't. It's a choice. Okay, it is a choice. I know somebody here's got their 6th wedding anniversary. Say these things are always going to be tough, but you need to have a purpose, right? So when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think about is your ex, or the last thing at night is your ex, change your routine, please. Okay, change the ringtone on your alarm clock so it's "I Feel Happy" by Pharrell. I don't know, my phone ringtone is that, because every time it rings, it just cheers me up. I love that song and it reminds me what I'm grateful for and to be happy. You see, so okay, let me see. Okay, so you can't see those links. I'm just trying to see how I get them to you. Here we go. I will pop it in. Okay, I'm gonna, sorry, I didn't realize I put those links in and you couldn't see them, so I'm gonna put them in again. Well, the first one is going to be for the phone call. If you want a free 10-minute call with Marina, she is amazing. She really is lovely, and she will just listen and she'll know how to best steer you. And because there's so many options, there's so many different things you can do to help you power through this now. So I've created a whole product range for you guys that is like free support and advice all the way up to, you know, paid advice, but it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. Okay, it doesn't have to. It's not the goal of this. The goal is to get you the support you need. So the survival guide is free. So you put your email address in and you will get the survival guide. So that will help. Okay, so yes, so which path are you going to take? Please, I'm hoping that during this hour I'm helping you see that there are two paths and it is your decision. You have to step up. You do. You have to dig deep. And I know it's not always easy, but if you feed your brain with positive things, you change your environment, set the game up to win. You know, if you've got bright pink nail varnish and that's your thing, wear it if it's going to make you feel good. If you've got your favorite things around you, your favorite mug to have your coffee in the morning, look after yourself. Be kind to yourself. Okay. Try and smile at more people when you're out for your daily exercise or shopping to get your food. Try and smile more at people. Now, you may not feel like smiling, but number one, smiling will make you feel better. But even if it's just like a bit of a grimace, it's an automatic thing that people will smile back at you. Now, it's hard with masks, I know, but people smile back at you. It makes you feel good too. So doing things for other people, I talked about volunteering, helping people. Actually, it's very rewarding for you. We think we're doing it for others, but actually the gift to us is huge. Barbara says, great advice, by the way, Sarah. We'll explore your books. Brilliant. Yeah, they're available on as audio books as well, Kindle, all sorts of things. I left and wanted to say to friends, hubby said he wanted, I left and wanted to stay. My hubby said he wanted to, but not now. We're in separate rooms. No kids, but he got a new house, furniture, been together 10 years. As he fancied a neighbour, and now Daisy's not going well. You know, Daisy, you've got to kiss quite a few frogs, okay? It's not going to be love at first sight, but just set your expectations to have some fun, please, please. You take one thing from this call, start having more fun. I want you to go out and find something that's going to make you laugh, someone that makes you laugh to have a FaceTime with today, maybe something you're going to enjoy doing, you know, maybe, you know, something that's going to make you smile. What's your favorite movie that makes you laugh? Okay, what is that? Okay, let's see what else. I'm nearly 2 years separated from a 29-year-old relationship and marriage, starting a mediation process. Thoughts I had to put to bed are dragging up again, fighting hard to get them out of my head. Okay, so write a list of everything that wasn't great about your relationship and start focusing on that, okay? Because again, as I said at the beginning of this webinar, we do tend to romanticize about the good times and minimize anything that was good, anything that was bad. And what we want to do is split that around so that we start focusing more on the negative things. You know, there are going to be times which is worse. You know, it's not constantly getting better every day. You can take 3 or 4 steps forward and then take a step back. But please know that's okay. All right, that is okay. That's normal. You're human. Okay, we're all going to feel a little bit like that from time to time. During lockdowns, the same. You know, some days you'll be like, oh, it wasn't so bad, had a good day. And other days we'll go to bed and go, oh, thank God, today's done. It's normal. Okay, so please don't beat yourself up. You're, as you can see from this webinar, you are not alone. You know, you are not. My husband doesn't want a divorce. He's trying to delay anything. I don't want to hurt him, but it's been over for a few years. Look, now is the time to have a discussion to say, look, you know, I care about you. I want to do this in the best way, but we need to move on and we can start then being happy again. What can I do to make this easier for you? What can I do? And, you know, sometimes people don't want to get divorced, don't want to move on. Again, you know, you've got to put you first. There's no point both of you being miserable. If you can go on and get on with your life, you'll be in a better place to sort of look back and maybe put some things in place for him that will help him. It's not about hurting him. You know, staying in a relationship where he knows you don't want to be there is hurting him. Okay, let's be clear. You staying is not helping him. I mean, you know, we all get older every single day, right? Every day goes past, we've got less time to move on and have fun and to make new friendships and potentially meet someone else or to get our life back on track and just start feeling good and happy again. And one thing this COVID has taught us is we only live once, okay? You only live once. So how are you going to do it? Okay, I know I'm simplifying, and it's hard without all the details, and I'm sure there's other things that you're taking into consideration there. Sarah, has coaching minimized the pain and hurt experience and kept the legal process of divorce more efficient as cost effective? Oh, I'm not sure I understand this. Sarah, has coaching minimized the pain and hurt experience and kept the legal process of divorce more efficient as cost effective? Yeah, I think I understand. So are you saying that does coaching dial down the pain? I mean, that's the goal, right? My goal with all my clients is to help you take control of your life. Okay, it's not to become dependent on me. So I have a set number of sessions, and nor do most of my coaches that I train. Like, everyone's different. Like, you might need one session to get things right. You know, first sessions are usually an hour and a half because we want to know your story, we want to really understand, so we can deep dive, ask you questions, unpack all your options, and then leave you with an action plan to move forward. So the idea is to put you in control so you can use these tools. You have the dial, okay? You have the remote control to this, and you practice and you work on those at home. Like, we'll give you very simple things that go away so you can get those big shifts, those positive transformations. Now, if you know, it depends where you're at. Some people are right in the beginning stages and they're in the denial or the massive overwhelm and hurt and heartbreak stage. Obviously, that's going to take a little bit more time. Whereas if you're kind of at the stage where you're like, oh, I just want to power through this now, I'm sick of feeling like this, then obviously it can be a lot shorter. It could be one session. It could be a couple of sessions. But the goal of coaching is very much more directive, results focused. You'll get a plan. It's very different to other styles that are other things that are available. I mean, everyone does things differently, but in general, therapy, you sign up for a certain number of sessions for every set amount of time. I know for coaching with me, with my clients, they can get me out of hours because I don't, the way I went through my divorce, some of the toughest times were Friday night and Sunday evening when the drop-offs were happening, so just having it set at different times and being flexible, I think, is important. But there's different things to suit different people, and there's lots of solutions. So please ask for help if you need it. Do reach out to your GP, whether it's free counselling service, whether you want to come to a specialist coach like me or one of my guys. And then what happens is it does make the legal process go a lot easier in some ways, because you don't get stuck in that anger. Quite often, family lawyers will send me clients or say, suggest that their clients come to me and say, you're stuck in anger, you're not signing the paperwork, or it's causing problems, or you're so emotional, you're not making the right decisions for yourself or the best decisions for yourself. So they have a session and they get back up again. It's about shining a light on where you're at, recognizing this is real and the fastest, smoothest route through, but whilst keeping it simple, easy, and fun. It's got to be fun. You've got to enjoy the process, because actually where you're at is the opportunity to redesign your life just the way you want it. This is not about anyone telling anyone what to do. It's about, here's some tools, go play with them, go try it. They work for me. I've turned what was a really difficult divorce into something now that I'm, I'm grateful it happened to me, because now I'm able to share those techniques with other people. And I've learned things about myself that I didn't know before. And it's made me a lot stronger and a lot more resilient, so I can help more people. And it comes in useful. So, it's about finding your groove and how you change that. So yes, it can speed up that process. Not always. I mean, it depends. If you are divorcing someone who's hell-bent on having a full-blown legal battle at any cost, and what I call difficult people, then it can take a lot longer. But at least you've got the tools to manage that and to get through it as best you can. So let me see. We've done that one. Okay. So yes, if you are thinking about your ex a lot, you're finding it hard to sleep at night. That can be hard. Sleeping at night can be hard, as with any trauma, any anxiety. You might wake up, you might have that feeling sick emotion. Now, there are things you can do, and everyone is different. So for some of you, you'll want to create a very calm environment in your bedroom, and you'll be okay with that. Paul McKenna's got a book, I Can Make You Sleep. Okay, and one of those chapters in I Can Make You Sleep is hypnotic induction, a double hypnotic induction, which means it's his voice led over twice, so 2 conversations happening. And what that does is it just soothes you and sends you into a more relaxed state. Sometimes it sends you to sleep, sometimes it just relaxes you, but it's also programming your brain some really positive stuff at the same time. So that's always really good. So that could be an idea. Lavender spray, natural lavender spray, you can get those now. They're very relaxing. Sometimes if you wake up in the night and you're just brain's worrying, you're getting yourself worked up, some people don't like this, but some people find it great to put the TV on and read a book or watch a movie on your phone, something to distract you. Okay, you don't have to sit and wallow in the pain. If you can distract yourself at times like that at night, then it really helps sometimes. And then you might just fall asleep watching the TV. So you've got to find what works for you, because there isn't one size fits all, which is why coaching is useful, because it can really tailor, or coming on one of my retreats is really useful because you can really tailor that advice to you. And I can, me or my coaches can dive in and really help you. But if you read one of my books, that will help you too, and there's free advice. If you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on Facebook, especially on Instagram, I do a lot more videos on Instagram. There are, free resources there to help you cope better and get through. Because I know this is a tough time. I know that finances are tight, and I know that, emotions are running high a lot of the time. So sometimes things can feel exaggerated and harder to cope with. But the most important thing is that you are not alone, and you can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. There are things you can do to dial down that pain, to help you cope better, and to help you put one foot in front of the other. And you will do this. You will get through it. You're not alone. There are, follow me on Instagram, comment on my posts. If you ask me a question, quite often on Instagram, if you DM me and ask me a question, then I jump on and do a video anonymously again. If you want me to, it doesn't really matter, but if you ask me to, And then you get the advice, you get the answer to your question, because I'll do a video. Because if you're asking me that question, I promise you there's lots of other people wanting answers to that question. So I'll jump on, do a video, and I'll post it up. So you'll get the answers. There is support, okay? Yeah, so I hope you found that helpful, guys. Thank you for giving up your Saturday to come and listen. I hope you found it useful, and that there's been some things that are going to help you to cope better. And I just want to say, you know, you're not alone. Mwah. Lots of love and hugs. Thanks for being part of this today. This will be posted up on my Facebook group. And again, you've got the links for the free survival guide in the chat, and also to book a free call with Marina, my Heartbreak Happiness Manager, who can go through information with you, understand your story, and best direct you if you want that help. Do ask, because we are there to help you. Okay? Mwah. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Massive hugs to you all, and lots of love. Take care.